Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to actually talk about Morgan, and I wanted to talk about his fate on Fear the Walking Dead because Lennie James did an interview, and his words in general on just what happens with Morgan, the fate of his character, the ending of the show, it's just a little cryptic. And so I want to get into it because it does raise the question of, is Morgan going to die? Because the way he says certain things in here, it really feels like this is going to be it for Morgan. And obviously this could just be sort of, he's kind of forced to say it, right? Like that's the one thing I've learned over the years is like, you can't really believe anything that anyone says regarding shows. Like if they say it's a one season thing or like this character is going to be gone and that's it, as soon as that episode airs, as soon as they're past a certain point, they'll announce something else and then it's not, because like they have to keep it a secret, right? Because you got to watch the show. If they announced everything and all their plans for how everything is going to go, like it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be exciting. Imagine if they just came out right now and said, yeah, Morgan's going to survive and then we're going to have him in a spinoff and stuff like that. Like they did that, I know, with Daryl and Carol, and then I guess with Maggie and Negan. So maybe that's why some people kind of expect that with some of these characters. But obviously that right there was a big mistake. And everyone said that, right? We shouldn't have known that they were all going to get spinoffs after The Walking Dead was over. They should have kept it quiet. And then once The Walking Dead ended, then announce the spinoffs kind of thing, right? But I guess because of filming and all that, we probably would have found it anyways. But anyways, as always, if you are new here, make sure to be a subscriber if you want more Walking Dead content like this. And also, go follow me on Twitch. My channel name is Appetite for the Dead. I do a lot of gaming and stuff on there. I play a lot of like Phasmophobia, Demonologist right now, Minecraft. We actually do have like a really epic server for Minecraft, and there's a lot of people have built a lot of Walking Dead communities. Honestly, I really should just do a video on it. I actually do have a lot of footage. I actually did do something with some stuff regarding some of the stuff that we actually have in the server. I just have to get around to actually uploading that. You know what? I gotta do that this weekend. Actually, I should make a note. There you go. I made the note. Anyways, let's get into this here. So the question I have for you is Morgan going to be dying in Fear the Walking Dead Season 8? Now, let's actually get into some of his comments here. I'm not going to get into every little thing, but there is something that was said here, and I got the article here from Games Radar. This was actually originally done, I believe, with SFX. So the interviewer asked Lennie James, Morgan has been through many disparate, is that a word? Oh, look at that. That actually is a word. I've never heard that word before. Think so unlike that there is no basis for comparison. Okay, anyways. Do you feel like he's finally reconciled with himself in this last arc? And then Lennie James responds with, well, this is the Walking Dead universe. There's no life without struggle in this world that we've created. There's no happiness without pain. This final season for me was, what does Morgan live for? Or what does Morgan die for? I think that is the mission for Season 8. If he achieves what he set out to do, which was to take care of the people that he cared about most, where does that leave him? Does that leave him walking away? Or does that leave him in a puddle of blood on the floor, possibly about to turn? I think there are unavoidable questions and unavoidable possibilities for this man. In Season 8, we addressed those questions head on, and that's what I wanted for Morgan. I wanted his finale to be an answer to those questions. So, yeah, like obviously that's something with Morgan that I've wanted, definite answers with. And if that is the case, we do get definite answers on some of that stuff with Morgan, I'll be so happy. And what I'm referencing with that is, Morgan's been one of those characters that for years has struggled with just like life and death and just sort of how should you live and operate in the apocalypse. And he's almost very unique in that way because, some people have dealt with that, Rick, Daryl kind of, I think Daryl, he struggled with that probably in his own life, likely before the apocalypse, right? But I think for some people, they just never really dealt with that part of it. And Morgan, even like all these years later, has just still sort of dealt with that dilemma, which was just like, should we be killing these people or like what's right, what's wrong, where should we be, and like how do we live, how do I cope with all of this, and am I happy? Like he's just sort of always been kind of a mess, which is why, first of all, like this quote here almost makes me a little excited, because if the answer to this is like, yes, you know what, we're gonna go back home, like I'm gonna go back to Alexandria because I ran away searching for answers, I found these answers, the answer is I'm going back home, kind of thing, right? I just want the reunion. I just want to see Carol and stuff on the show. I think that'd be so cool. But let's get into the second part here. The interviewer asks, Morgan is not part of any of the spin-off shows, so how does it feel closing this career chapter? And Lennie James says, if you would have said to me at point when Dwayne hits Rick that this is what's going to happen, I certainly wouldn't have believed you. To be at this point now with Morgan, I couldn't have hoped for it. I couldn't have wished for it. I couldn't have imagined that it would have happened. I'm happy with the job done. I'm excited about moving on, but I will miss him. I will miss the people that I've been working with immensely. I will miss the routine. I will miss the day-to-day. And either in November or April of each year, there will be a moment where I'll think there's something I'm supposed to be doing. And obviously he's probably referencing filming, right? So just something for The Walking Dead, or I guess Fear the Walking Dead. And yeah, when I read this quote, I think a lot of people took it as this really seems like Morgan's going to die. And there's a part of it where it does seem very cryptic, like I was mentioning earlier in the video. Like, he does say, but I will miss him. I will miss the people that I've been working with immensely. That's the only part to me where it sounds like, oh, Morgan might actually die, or maybe Morgan's story is done. Maybe Lennie James is done with the Morgan character. Now, I don't believe that part. I really think Lennie James loves playing Morgan as a character. And it's one of those things with this show, if you're into character stuff, and you're an actor on this show, you're going to love playing these characters for forever. I think Norman Reedus actually mentioned that a couple of years ago, or within the last couple of years. He said there was something about, playing Daryl and playing that character for so long, just to kind of experience that amount of time, seeing the character so young in season 1 compared to season 11 and now in the spinoffs, right? Like 11, 12 years of life is on that show. You're seeing this character age and grow up, and there is something really special about that. And it's every year. That's the thing. It's not like he's taking a year off. Like, you're seeing this character age every single year. So it's really special in that way. And that's why I've always sort of said, if The Walking Dead, or if certain characters in this franchise could be around for 20, 30 years, and it was pretty regular, like every year, or maybe eventually it's every 2 years or something, we see Daryl, and Norman Reedus is like 65 or something, 70, I think it would just be absolutely epic to go back and watch season 1, to see his first episode, and to watch every single episode and every season of every show for all of those years, to see how much he changed as a character. And like, I think that's what's always sort of made The Walking Dead really special, like that, is just that the character stuff is just, it's so incredible. And it's not just with Daryl. I want to see that with a lot of the other characters. And that's honestly also what makes it very heartbreaking when certain characters die, because they're gone now, right? And so with Morgan, that's the only part of it here that I can kind of see where it's like, maybe something does happen to him, because it is a little cryptic. Like, he says, I will miss him. That makes me wonder, like, has he talked with anyone at AMC or Gimple or whoever about doing a spinoff? Is he in the know at all, or are they just keeping it like quiet right now? Other than that, everything else that he said with, like, if you would have told me all those years ago that I would still be here today doing this role, that's just, that's something I couldn't have wished for or even hoped for. Like, I had no idea that would ever happen. And then he just says that I'll miss the people that I've been working with. Yeah, then he gets into the stuff about just sort of missing the character. And that's really the only part of it, is where he says he'll miss the character. And for me, it's something that, like, obviously it does very much seem like maybe he is going to be gone. But you just kind of have to remember that, actors say these kind of things with some of the characters, because he can't come out and announce anything about a future project or spin-off, or if he's going to be on another show or something like that, right? Like, you got to remember that Andrew Lincoln also talked about it like that. He already knew that they were doing the movies back then. Like, back when they announced that he was leaving the show, he already knew he was going to be doing the movie trilogy, right? Like, he already had this commitment in his head to, be filming a movie trilogy over, I guess, several years, right? And so when he announced it, like, I see this interview here with EW. I'll leave a link down below to the article. I mean, it's like almost 5 years old now. It's really old, but like, he says stuff on here like, yes, it's my last season on the TV show. Completing the show was like releasing air finally, and it was very satisfying. The last 2 episodes in particular, but doing a panel and having to talk to thousands of people in Hall H, and then have all my friends hug me at the end. And, he talks about his children and the fact that was a really big part of it, because obviously he's from the UK, and that was the whole thing, was that it was just really hard for him to be the father that he wanted to be, right? Because he worked in America from May to November, and obviously he would probably see his kids throughout those months, but it wasn't like regularly, right? Like, he's working overseas, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. I personally couldn't imagine doing that. I really couldn't, so I totally get it. But there's a lot of talk back then, and if you guys probably remember, I don't even have to be referencing this article, but like, Andrew Lincoln would really just say a lot of like, yeah, you know what, like, I'm glad to at this point to say goodbye to the Rick character, and I'll miss this character and this and that. He said a lot of very similar things like that, and then all of a sudden sudden, after his final episode, just like that, a movie trilogy. So now when you go back and like literally go back and watch the Comic-Con in 2018 and watch like his speech that he's giving to the fans, like in his head the whole time he knows a movie trilogy is happening, but he's almost acting in that situation, saying like this was Rick Grimes was an awesome character to play. Like he's saying his goodbyes, but it's clearly not a goodbye, right? And that's what I mean when it comes to the spinoff right now and the whole thing of it being just one season. I have questions about that. Maybe it's a one season thing for their characters, like for the Rick and Michonne relationship, but in terms of just the Rick character, I don't know. Andrew Lincoln literally said that it was a horrible or terrible decision or something to leave the show. I'm going to do a video on that because some people don't believe me on that, but that happened a couple of years ago. I'm going to have to find the article for that. But anyways, back to the whole Morgan talk and everything. I do think he's going to survive because imagine Morgan dies. I think there would be a feeling of, is the Walking Dead universe coming to an end? Right? Like eventually there's going to be that moment. I don't know when that's going to happen, but there's going to be a moment where it's like, it seems like this is coming to an end. And I know some people are going to say, well, like that's right now. No, I would say right now, like obviously the show ended, but right now we're in this really weird area here where it's like, I think that the show's sort of calming down. It's coming to an end, but they're also creating all these spinoffs and, branching out and starting something very brand new here. So we're not really ending the Walking Dead universe. And that's what I mean. I think that's something that they have to clarify at Comic-Con. I really want like a plan laid out, because there's really no plan laid out at all. It's just like a spinoff comes out and then there's like this thing. Like I want them to do it like how Marvel does it with the MCU. Like they'll have that graphic that they'll show, and then it'll show the release dates and this movie or whatever is coming out this date. Like I want that. This way people can sort of, understand more of what their overall plan is. But as of right now, it's like, I have no idea. We're just sort of following this show and this show. And that's the thing with Dead City, with the Daryl Dixon show, with the Rick and Michonne show. How do those stories connect? Because there's got to be some sort of connection. Like clearly in the first seasons of these shows, some stuff is going to be separated, but there's got to be an overall plan here, right? Like there's no way this is just going to be separated forever. Like there'd be no point in doing that. So I think they do have plans, but again, I don't think it's that bad to announce those plans, because Marvel does that and it creates a lot of hype. So I think that's likely what they're going to be doing. And that's just sort of the state we're in right now. We're just in this really weird place where it's like, what is overall happening right now? Like, yeah, because it's exciting. I'm excited for the spinoffs, but I just want to know what the overall plan is. And I think that's why Fear the Walking Dead is ending. And I think, that's why I think Morgan, Madison, some of those characters are going to be in those spinoffs. That's where I think a lot of those crossovers are going to be really fun. I would love it, for Dwight and Sherry to be in Dead City. I want that reunion with Negan. I really do. There's a lot of exciting stuff. And again, like I said before, there's going to come a time when a lot of this does come to an end. But it's not right now, because there's so much that they have to do with a lot of these characters. Like there's reunions that we all want to see. Once those reunions happen, once all that stuff is over and everything is just sort of put to bed kind of thing, then I think is when it's done. And that's where you can sort of wrap a bow on it. These characters reunited, they all said their goodbyes, or they're living happily ever after kind of thing. Yeah, we're just not there yet. Like we're just not at that place yet. So in terms of Morgan, because that was sort of the topic of this video, I think he's going to get a spinoff. I think he's going to go there. I don't think Morgan's story is done yet. His quote there, he says he'll miss the character. I've heard this before from other actors. I personally believe that Lennie James is going to be playing Morgan for a while. I don't see Morgan dying. Yeah, I see him returning back to Alexandria. Like if you want an official prediction from me, as of today anyways, April 28th, I think Morgan survives. I think he's going to go back to Alexandria. Well, I'll say Alexandria / the Commonwealth. Like it's going to be one of those two places. In terms of filming, I guess, for Alexandria, that's a little different, because I know the set was taken down. So unless they're planning to do something with like old footage or something, I don't know. But Commonwealth stuff, I could totally see that. That's how I see it ending anyway. So definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.